All right, guys, I am Ron Lyons, and I happen to be the Tactical Redneck. And I want to say thank you so very much for joining us for this, second episode on our comeback for the Tactical Redneck. And yes, we used to be called Lyons Tactical. We were a very big organization. We had quite the presence. We had a big giant podcast, and we had all kinds of things going on. And as you may have heard on the first episode of our comeback, we got deplatformed over a t-shirt. We're not going to get too deep off into that because we've got something way more important to talk about on this episode, which happens to be mindset. And there's a lot of videos and a lot of books and a lot of coaches and a lot of educators out there in law enforcement, military, and even in the private sector and things like that, where they talk about mindset. And it's such a critical tool in your arsenal or in your kit. It's really a make or break in many ways. And that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. But let me tell you about this silly thing with the t-shirt first, just in case you weren't around on the first episode. You can kind of understand what I'm talking about. So we had this big giant business. It was called Lyons Tactical. We were really, really big in the industry of tactical gear and survival equipment and prepper stuff, all that, law enforcement, all of that stuff. And we had, thousands of t-shirts, probably. Lots, more than I could ever even look at. And they're all provided by all of these different dealers who, upload them to our website through this really complicated backside. And we put a little markup on those items and then they ship out. And that's how we do most of our business, or at least back then we did. And we had this t-shirt, and if you're watching right now on like YouTube podcasts or something like that, then you'll be able to see like what I'm wearing right now. I happen to be wearing a Lyons Tactical Gorilla t-shirt right now, but it was about this color, and it had a big giant Roman numeral 3 right in the middle of it. Didn't say anything else. There were no words on it, just a big Roman numeral 3. And our platform was Shopify. And I don't like Shopify. And this is why, because when they found that Roman numeral 3, it's called a 3%er t-shirt, they labeled it as hate speech. Now, back at the time, I didn't know hardly anything about that. I had heard of 3%ers. I didn't know anything about it. I certainly didn't think of it as hate speech or anything like that. So I went and did my research, and extreme, far right, radical, whatever, back at the time, were claiming the 3%er thing. So guess what? I pulled it off. Wasn't a big deal. Shirt's gone. We're back in compliance. Life is good. And then a short time after that, that particular dealer who created and sold that t-shirt through our website did a full catalog upload, and they got it back on the website. And I didn't catch it, but Shopify did. And they deplatformed us. No warning, no recourse, nothing. Just gone. And they somehow, and I don't understand this part, but somehow they were either connected to or reached out to our credit card processors, and they got us shut down in that respect as well. So we couldn't process credit cards. We didn't have a website anymore. We were essentially taken out of business by a t-shirt. Now, here we are. We're back. It's been some years now. And we're not what we used to be. We don't strive to be that. We're not trying to be that. We have, I say we, anyone and everyone associated with this business today, we all have like regular jobs and stuff like that. This is not our full-time gig anymore. Now we're doing this because we love and miss our community. I spent many years as a law enforcement officer, and I did an awful lot of drug interdiction. That was kind of my specialty. And so whenever you get away from that community, you miss it. And so this is our way to stay connected. We're all former law enforcement, military, etc. People who just love this stuff. And when I say this stuff, I'm talking about tactical, prepper, survivalist, law enforcement. Good stuff. And I told you we were going to talk about mindset today. Mindset is literally everything. It gives you the edge out there in the private sector, in business, and it can certainly keep you alive if you're out on the street. So if you're a law enforcement officer and you're listening to this podcast, then you really, really need to understand the power of and how to harness a certain kind of mindset that will give you that edge out there on the street as well. And so that's kind of what we're talking about tonight. So let's just kind of get straight into it. I don't intend to take all of your time, but I do want you to get some stuff from this. Now, first of all, when you do things out there in the real world, especially if you're within the community we're in, survivalists and preppers and tactical people, law enforcement, military, whatever, if you're in those circles, then by default, you are already a warrior. You're already a warrior. That's what you do. That's part of your existence. And you've probably seen this, and I'm going to try not to step on any toes or anything like that, but especially if you're in law enforcement, you've seen that there are different types of police officers. There's cops who like to go out, take burglary reports and theft reports and go on alarm calls, wave at everybody as they're going down the road and hope and pray that they don't get any real hot calls, and they certainly don't go out and try to get in the middle of anything. Now, that's not how I functioned. I wanted to be in the middle of this stuff. I wanted to be where the action was. And it just so happened that I had a knack for drug interdiction, so the weakest link in the drug trade is when they courier that stuff by the kilos and the pounds over the roadways. So for some time, I had a canine. I was a canine officer. I had a dog. I had a German Shepherd that was drug trained, narcotics detection, did all of that stuff. And you can probably imagine that if you're out on the road and you pull someone over and let's just say they've got 50 kilos of cocaine in their car, they know that 50 kilos is there. And they've done everything they possibly can to avoid detection. They want to avoid getting pulled over and potentially going to jail, because that's an awful lot of jail time. That's like federal prison for decades time. So they're typically very well armed. So they have the advantage of knowing what's going on before you do. They have the advantage of having already made up their mind that if they get into a situation, how far they're willing to go to fight to stay out of jail. And so if you're going to be a drug interdiction officer, really any police officer, but especially if you're going to be the kind of cop that I was, where you're going to go out and get in the stuff, you're going to go out there and try and be proactive and shake things loose, make things happen, make felony arrests, find guns, find people with felony warrants, take drugs off the street. If you're going to be that person, then you better have the kind of mindset that's going to help you survive every single time you get involved in one of these incidents. And if you're doing your job right, you're getting into these on a daily basis. That means you come into work 5 days a week and you're going to have at least 5 good contacts like that. Probably many, many more. I can't imagine doing an 8-hour shift and only having one contact like that. So how does that mindset play into all of this? Well, it's a survival mindset. It's a mindset that you're going to handle whatever comes up. You're going to manage whatever situation comes up. And it doesn't matter if you're a smaller guy like me. I'm 5'9", and back in those days, I was $1.85. I wish I was $1.85 now. Now I'm more like $2 and some change. But when you're like that, you're not a big, massive person. And you're typically out there alone on the side of some dark highway. Like I said, pulling these people over who already know what's going on. Then you've got to have that kind of mindset that you're going to engage in this situation. Hopefully everything goes well, but if it doesn't, if everything goes to hell in a handbag real quick, you're going to handle it. You've had very, very good training, and you're going to apply that training, and you're not going to be weak-minded. You're not going to get scared. You're not going to be afraid. You're not going to cower, because that's when you're going to get killed. So it's a I can handle it, I will handle it situation going on in your mind. And there's something about that when you've got that mindset, when you've got that, I'm going to succeed, I'm going to go home after this contact, after we get through this, whatever it is, this drug and addiction stop or whatever the heck it is, when this is all said and done, I'm going home. When you have that mindset, something about it transmits very well to the people that you're working with. Just like if you're weak-minded or if you're not engaging in a strong mindset, that warrior mentality, then they pick up on that as well. Now, when they see advantage, when they think they've got an opportunity to act, to take you out, to take you down, to do harm to you, maybe escape, get away, whatever, they're going to take it. Because remember, we're talking about locking these folks up for many, many years. Lots and lots of problems. Not to mention the fact that if they're muling drugs for someone, whoever that is probably going to have someone on the inside of that prison or whatever take them out for all of the lost tens of thousands of dollars in product that's gone. So it's a lose-lose situation if you're a drug courier and you don't make it to where you're supposed to go. If you're a police officer out on the side of the highway happening to do drug interdiction, that's what you're running up against all the time. And so that mindset is that of, I'm going to engage in this. I'm going to have contact with this person, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if a gun's about to turn around and be aimed out the window at me. I don't know if, there's 3 other guys in this car and they're all armed with, small carbines, and we're about to have a gun battle on the side of this highway right now. You don't know. There's no script for it. And yeah, you can call backup, and that's good if you're concerned or some of the protocols that are in place in order, for you to have that backup, then certainly by all means, they're going to be there. But if you're doing interdiction out there so many times, you get kind of an uneasy feeling about something. You've got that sixth sense that something's going on. You can't call backup every single time. It's not possible. You're running other cops who are not doing interdiction to come and be in the middle of this situation that you're in over and over and over. So what you find yourself doing is handling it on your own. So you're out in the middle of a dark highway, multiple occupants in a car sometimes, or someone who way outsizes you, probably is armed in ways that you're not. You've got your service weapon, and you might have a shotgun or a small rifle in the vehicle. But it's you out there largely with your mindset and the tools of your trade, be that your service weapon, your pepper spray, baton, whatever it is. And that's what you have to do business with. So you walk into that situation before you ever actually say the first word, you're going to survive. You're going to do whatever it takes to win. And that projects, that goes from you to the other person, and they're like, wow, there's something about this guy that I don't want to mess with. This guy is very, you might call it headstrong, and it's not being an asshole to somebody. That's not what I'm saying. It's not throwing your weight around or throwing that badge around. Nobody likes that. If you're in law enforcement, that's not what it's about. It's not abuse of power. It's not abuse of office. It's not any of that stuff. Official oppression. There's a lot of words for getting out of hand when you let that badge be everything. That's not at all what I'm talking about. 100% not what I'm talking about. You're out there to do a job, to protect a community, to save people from all kinds of stuff. And if you can take lots of drugs off the road, or if you can get a felon in jail, or if you can do something like that, then you're doing exactly what the people need you to do and pay you to do. And probably, quite honestly, what God wired you to do. And you're doing what makes you happy. But if you don't come back the next night because you lost your life on a traffic stop yesterday, then that's the end point of your ability to continue to serve the community and to continue to take all these drugs and stuff off the street. And not to mention the fact that even if you're a ragtag SOB like I was, there's someone somewhere who cares about you. You got a mama, you got a daddy, you got spouse, brother, sister, kids, people who want to see you come home. So if you know all of that, you go into this situation, whatever it is, be it a drug interdiction stop or anything else, you go into it with a strong mindset, and you have what's called command presence. You've made up your mind that you're in charge before you step into that situation. You're confident, you're mindful, you're aware, you're very professional. You don't lose your professionalism until it's time to lose your professionalism. And let me tell you, sometimes you got to lose your professionalism. I'll tell you kind of a funny story real quick. When I first got into law enforcement, I was one of those guys that was going to get in it to, save the world, change the world. So I was like super nice. I was, very kind of Boy Scoutish almost. I had lived some life, but not like I ended up living through my law enforcement career. But I had lived a little bit, but not a ton. And I made up my mind, like on, the academy time, that I was going to be different. There were all these cops, and they would cuss and they would curse and they would, just rough, outright just ugly sometimes, especially going through the academy. The cops that they had training us and stuff, man, they had an edge about them. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to always be kind. I'm going to be a gentleman. I'm not going to curse. And I remember the very, very first time that I was riding out with my field training officer, got through the academy, graduated valedictorian of my class, got out on the streets with an FTO. And we're riding around one night, and there's 4 guys in a car. And so as we light them up, pull them over, they all started getting out of the car. And of course, you can't have that. We've got the spotlight on them. We've got the takedown lights on them. My heart rate's up and my nervous system's on full blast. I'm just like, those sympathetic nervous systems, just like it's kicking in. And I'm being kind. And I'm like, guys, we need to get back inside the car. Guys, please get back inside the car. I was given those commands, and I was giving them very kindly. And they weren't doing it. They weren't complying. And they were very, very big. There was 4 really big guys, little old me and my field training officer. My field training officer was not a big person. As a matter of fact, he even had a nickname that indicated exactly how small he was. He was a little man. They called him Lowrider. Little guy. And when these guys kept coming, I realized that it was time to take control of this, or somebody was going to be in trouble, and it was going to be me and my field training officer right there on the side of the road on day 1 for me. And so I lost it. I used curse words that I put them together. I'm kind of proud of it now looking back. I put some curse words together that meant business. And all 4 of those guys got back inside the car real quick. And I sat down in the car, and my field training officer looked over at me, and I looked over at him, and he goes, "You made it a few hours. That's good." It was like, shh. That's right. All of my plans through the academy to be different and never be that way. And right there, right out of the cage, man, having to use that. So sometimes you have to lose your professionalism. So I'm not saying that. Absolutely, when the time calls for it, and that's what discretion is. And you'll learn to develop your officer discretion if you're a cop, and if you're out there doing that, or if you've done it at all, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's the same in private life. Guys, we're going to be out there doing things in life now, every single day, and this world's gotten really, really ugly and nasty. And road rage and stuff like that is like at an all-time high. There was a time when something would happen and 2 people would almost like, run into each other. Something would happen and you'd back off a little bit. Go ahead and let the car in. Now it's like somebody pulls up, and because they passed all this traffic and didn't have to wait as long as you, now you're going to speed up and not let them in. We've all become a bunch of assholes. And we treat each other that way out there on the road. And the bad part of that is no longer do we just like flip each other off or honk the horn and go on. Now it's all about invitations to pull over and fight or shoot And that's the world we live in. Now, I've learned in my senior age now that it's not a good idea to engage in any of that nonsense. Now, I certainly did when I was younger and thought I was bulletproof. It's a terrible idea. It's a horrible idea. And I don't do that stuff anymore. But is there ever going to be an opportunity for someone to still get upset with you out on the road or somewhere else in some other situation, and where you have to rely on that mindset, that warrior mindset, in order to survive that situation? You better believe it. It's absolutely possible. Not only is it possible, it's even likely. So if you don't want to become a statistic, or if you don't want to become a victim, then you're going to have this warrior mindset, this command presence in these situations. And again, just like when I was saying, you don't throw that badge around. You also don't throw this around. When you get this skill set, when you develop your mindset, you're going to feel pretty strong, and you will be. But you don't go out there and take that out on the road and use that. You don't sit there and hope for someone to get pissed off and invite you over so that you can hop out of your car and, dominate that situation. That's not what it's all about. Even as a warrior and with a warrior mindset, you still have to be compassionate. You still need to be kind and caring and forgiving and give grace. Now, there's going to be situations that are going to go through every single one of those boxes, check them off, and cast those things into the trash. And it's just going to be you standing there with some jackwagon that needs to be handled. And that's when that mindset is going to kick in, and that's when you're fully justified in utilizing that very strong mindset to handle that situation. Hopefully, it doesn't come to people going bang bang against each other. But at least if somebody is going to attempt to harm you, kill you, hurt you or your family, you've got that mindset of survival, and you're going to be able to handle that. So how do you develop this mindset? Well, that's the interesting part. It is literally a decision that you make, and you decide. You could do it just as easily as right now sitting here and saying, you know what? I'm going to change the way that I think about these things. In the event that this happens, here's how I'm going to be. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to do whatever it takes to survive and to protect my family or whomever, whatever the situation is, because it could be a lot of different situations. But it's a choice. It's a decision. It's just like losing weight. You have all of these people, and they search and search and search for, like, how do you lose weight? Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you lose weight? And there's about 1,000 different things out there that you can use to lose weight. But you know what the difference is between the people who attempt to use those things to lose weight and fail, and those who attempt to use those things to lose weight and succeed? Is the decision and the mindset. Same tools. The gym is available to people who go in every day and attempt to work out and never lose weight, never get in shape. That exact same gym is available to the people who go in and actually transform themselves completely. Not a different gym. It's like, here's the gym for people who are going to fail, and here's the gym for people who are going to succeed. It's all about the person. It's all about the mindset. It's all about what you take into that gym with you. And this is true with this mindset. It's what you have that you take into life and into these situations with you. And I'll tell you what, the thing about having this mindset is that it rolls over into so many other areas of life. And there's probably some areas where it should not roll over into. We'll talk about that too, but I've learned in my business life that the strong mindset gets me just way ahead of all of my competition. It's rare. I'm in a position right now where I have to negotiate with people. And it's shocking how well this strong mindset serves me. It's shocking how few people out there, especially men, do not have that. And it doesn't mean that I'm a jackass to people. It doesn't mean I'm a bully. It doesn't mean that I treat them poorly. As a matter of fact, it's none of those things. I'm as kind and friendly as you can possibly imagine, and very direct and very confident and very strong-willed and very, very sure of what I want and how this is going to work out. That's what I'm talking about. It's that kind of a thing. So no matter what, this concept of mindset and having the right mindset, this all comes about with you making a decision. You decide that you're going to be confident, strong, that you're going to think in a particular way, like a warrior, like a person who's going to survive, being very, very mindful of not allowing that to be abused or thrown around ever, because then you're just a bully. And then somebody else needs to come along that's got a stronger mindset than you and take care of you so that you lose some of that bully nonsense. Don't become that jackass. Don't do that. It's like when you get in martial arts and you work your way up and you get to a high level rank, you get your black belt or whatever. There's a small percentage of people who get that high rank in a martial art and go out there and abuse the crap out of it. They just go out there and try to get in fights and bars and stuff so they can kick the shit out of people. That's not okay. The really, really good guys, they're the ones who get that and then know the power they have and then never, ever abuse it, but only use it when they absolutely have to. And that's what this is. Mindset is like a very good defensive weapon. It can be an offensive weapon too, but that's a little more than what we have time to get into tonight. And I told you just a second ago that there's times and places where you should never use this. And an example would be in your relationship, if you're married to someone and you get into an argument or whatever. Once you understand that you've got this really strong mindset, it's super easy for you to dominate arguments. That's not okay. You have to remember that 99% of the world is not like you. They don't have that strong mindset. They don't have that same background experience, or they've not made that decision to be that way. They don't need to. They do different jobs. They do different things that we are not doing out there, and they don't need the same thing. We're doing the other stuff. We're defenders and protectors, maybe law enforcement, maybe military, maybe people who have, corporate jobs or something where we've got to do like what I was saying and negotiate a lot. And if you're married to someone, like my wife doesn't have to go negotiate a single thing. She's not having to go out there and use weapons on a daily basis. So it's very unfair if we get into an argument for me to bring this mindset and this level of strength into that conversation and use it. I would call it abuse this by dominating that conversation. That's not okay. So understanding the whens, wheres, and hows. If you're out there carrying a concealed weapon, and I hope you are carrying concealed and not open, but we'll talk about that another day. But if you're carrying a concealed weapon, what's one of the most important things that you have to know and learn before you start carrying concealed? Well, it better be when it's appropriate to deploy that weapon system, to pull that weapon out and to actually utilize that. Under what circumstances? Every circumstance does not mean you can just pull your GAC out and engage someone. You need to know that. You've got to refine that. And it's the same with this mindset concept. So you can't just pull it out and use it anytime you want. That would not be okay. So make a decision. Decide that you're going to have a very strong mind. Realize that it's one of your most powerful tools that you have. And how can you practice this? Well, here's a good way. You practice building a strong mindset by practicing things that require discipline. And for me, one of the things that requires discipline might be like eating a certain way, or committing yourself to a certain kind of exercise, and you set out a certain time frame. And for me here, just a little while back, I decided, you know what, it's time for me to start cleaning up the eating and doing stuff like that. And so I ran 9 months straight. I don't mean ran like ran. I went 9 months straight eating on a high protein, higher fat kind of a ketogenic style diet. And I never made a single mistake in there anywhere. Not one time. I mean, I didn't even grab like a half inch of someone's French fry and put it in my mouth. Nothing. No cheat meals, no mistakes, no errors, no gaffes, no nothing. And I needed to run that long, and I decided I was going to make it all the way up until Thanksgiving. And that at Thanksgiving, I would go ahead and allow myself to have something. But not a single minute or day before, not even the day before Thanksgiving, nothing. And I did. I literally ran 9 months straight with no issues, no errors, no problems. And guess what? That mindset, baby, it's good. It's solid. It's solid. So that's how you do it. Commit yourself to doing something that requires discipline. Engage in whatever that is. Maybe it's an exercise program, maybe it's a diet, maybe it's whatever. But when you do give in on whatever it is that you choose as your modality, whatever it is that you choose to use to build that internal strength, that determination, that confidence, that mindset, whatever that is, if you gaffe, if you mess up, then you need to get down in front of a mirror and you need to have a very, very serious soul-searching discussion with yourself about that, because you don't develop that mindset I'm talking about by having mistakes and then just letting them go. You're holding yourself to account. You're holding yourself to a higher level. You're making sure that you are actually rising up to another level. You're improving yourself. And so you have to sit there and hold yourself accountable. If you mess up, which you might, then guess what? Reset. Be very honest with yourself. Be brutally honest with yourself. That's why I say get that mirror and sit down and talk to yourself like you need to be talked to. You're going to have to talk to yourself. Nobody else is going to do it. You're not going to hire, the pretty boy trainer down at the gym. Your beer drinking buddies aren't going to do it. And it's rare to find somebody that can actually sit down with you and kick some common sense into that brain whenever you're slipping or messing up or doing something wrong. So you're going to have to do it for yourself. You're going to have to train yourself. And then the other thing that you can do throughout this time of trying to develop a good mindset like this, a strong resolve, command presence, confidence, is by putting yourself into situations where you can learn. Go sign up for that martial arts class, but don't just go down to the corner martial arts place. Go find the baddest ass, hardest place that you can possibly find. The one that's just going to destroy your you-know-what. That's going to tear you up. Sign up for that. You're not trying to become Billy Badass with a black belt. You just need the training. You need to make your ass show up every single time you're supposed to. If you commit to being there 2 nights a week, by God, you better be there 2 nights a week. If you commit yourself to doing something else, then you hold yourself accountable and make yourself do that. You can also pick up lots and lots of information and knowledge on this from so many people right on YouTube. I mean, YouTube is virtually free. And there's so much out there. People who have experienced life, people like me who've been in jobs and done things like interdiction and handled a lot of situations, who relied on that confidence and that mindset, that command presence to survive. And you can take their knowledge and you can apply that into your growing and your learning. It's available. You can't sit here right now, and I don't care who you are, where you are, what your lot in life is. You can't sit here and tell me, well, I never signed up for the military, so I kind of missed out on that, so I'm not going to have that chance. Or I was never a cop, and I didn't have to go out there and, do all that stuff, so I can't get that. No. You can absolutely get this. And how do you do it? You start by deciding to do it. You say, I'm going to develop a warrior mindset. And please don't do this. Here's another thing that just drives me insane. You know those people who get committed to like a fitness plan or whatever, and they decide, okay, I'm going to lose all this weight. I'm really doing it this time. And they go out there and they put it all over the internet and they tell everyone and they broadcast it far and wide that they're on this thing. And, for a little while, they're very committed. They're going to the gym, they're eating, they're taking pictures of their food and posting it for all of us to have to endure. And they're doing their flex pictures in the gym, and then they're showing you the scale and all this stuff. And then somewhere along the way, it falls apart. They don't stick with it. But you have all of this buildup for all of this time where they were telling you all about it, and they were so sure of themselves, and God bless them for fully believing that they were doing it. I would much rather them go out there and engage in this effort and fail if that's what they're going to do, if that's the way it works out, and fail silently, quietly. They didn't have all the bravado. They didn't have all of the Facebook pictures. They didn't tell everybody in the world. They were just doing it. That's so much better. So don't go tell the whole wide world. Don't post all this crap about I'm doing it and whatever. Now, if you want to make a comment below, if this is a video you're watching, or somewhere in the comments or whatever, if you're just listening to this on audio and you want to say to me and other like-minded people in this circle, hey, I'm going to do this, that's awesome. But we're not going to be subject to your, daily pictures of you doing whatever it is that you're going to do to develop this strong mindset, this command presence, etc. We're going to hear it one time, and that's fine. That's great. Tell your brothers, people like me, tell us, hey, I learned something, I love this, and I'm doing this. And then silently and quietly go and develop yourself, grow yourself, make yourself stronger, make yourself better. In short order, you can make an awful lot of progress, and you're going to be very, very happy with yourself when you do. So guys, that's going to wrap it up for right here. I am absolutely certain that we're going to talk about this a lot in up and coming weeks and months and hopefully years if we're all blessed to know each other that long. And we're going to talk about this a lot because it's absolutely critical. And if you're watching on video right now, yeah, you see my Tactical Redneck cap that I'm wearing. I've got my Tactical Redneck gorilla shirt on. If you like any of that stuff, if you want that stuff, tacticalredneck.com. We've got a little shop on there, and that is essentially how we support what we're doing right here. This camera equipment, this lighting equipment, this is a $500 microphone, and I had to buy 2 of them. It's how we do what we do, is by selling these t-shirts and these ball caps and making $1 or $2 or $3 off of each thing. It helps with all of this production and us trying to get this knowledge to you. So if you want kind of a win-win situation, go to tacticalredneck.com, find something in the shop, go buy yourself a really cool camo hat like this with this embroidered stuff on it. Go find something cool that you like. You win because you get something really awesome that nobody else has. And we win because we make a couple of bucks and we compile all of that stuff together, and we can pay for all of this and keep it going. Guys, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about this, decide if you want to engage in this, figure out a path forward, make up your mind. Remember step 1, make up your mind, decide to do it, and then get going. It's a process. Don't try to do it overnight, do it over time, but be extremely confident that you're going to elevate yourself to a new level, to a new place. You're going to feel a whole lot better about yourself. And you're going to be able to serve your family, your community, and the entire world by being a literal warrior, ready to handle whatever comes up. And guys, until our next episode, stay safe and God bless.